No, intro music.
And that's the intro music. And we're live. Hey, welcome to Meet the Heroes. I came up with the title for it. It's called Meet the Heroes, where we interview people in the Magento community doing cool stuff. And we kind of go behind the scenes, have them share their screen and demo stuff. So we're here with Marty, the CTO of Mage Mojo. How the heck are you?
Not too bad. Always busy.
Yeah, man. And so you're in New York, right?
That's Eric. I'm in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I always forget.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah, nice, man. And are you guys getting hit pretty hard with the crazy storm and stuff?
We got nothing.
Oh, you got nothing? Nice.
A little bit of dusting. Everything north and south of us, though, they got hit pretty decent, but it wasn't anywhere what they were going to say it was.
Right.
They were calling for like 12 inches or something here, and we got,
right. Well, it turns out weather is hard to predict, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice, man. So
that job where I could just be wrong all the time.
You're like, the servers are up, and they're like, no, they're not. You're like, well, we're only right like 10% of the time. Cool, man. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the hosting racket and all that kind of stuff.
I originally started off as just more of a graphics guy, like starting off with just HTML and
really.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
The previous company I worked for, it was a tiny company, so I just started filling in all the gaps that they had, and there were a lot of gaps because there was 4 people when I started. So kind of every odd job that came along, whether it was just working with websites and everything, and then I eventually got into becoming their de facto Oracle DBA.
Okay. Yeah.
Also still basically managing all the hardware and stuff that went behind that. And then eventually, I was doing side projects and was working with Eric on some side projects. And that's kind of how we just got forayed into.
Was he the client? Was he the side project client? Or you guys were tagged?
So for some things, like especially the stuff we were working with Magento, he had a extension for the old service that he used to run, and I was working on debugging that, and we kind of just saw this gap in good hosts for Magento because every site we tried to run his extension on, they always had other problems. They were always just slow, and you got to look in the hardware, and they're trying to run it on a toaster, and you just can't do it.
Yeah. Nice. And then you guys, and then you're pretty heavy into the hardware side of things now, right?
Yeah, we have all the hardware. We own all of that, and the network side. So yeah, we have a co-located rack space in the data center in Pittsburgh, and we're going to be going international soon, so we're looking at other sites now.
Cool. Yeah, it's out in Europe, right? You guys are.
I think that's going to be first.
Try to get some of that Brexit money.
Yeah. Is there any of that?
Nice.
Or is it all Brexiting out?
Yeah. Nice. Is that a big project?
Yeah, it's going to be. We're still working out all the details on that, how we're going to go, because we don't want to have to build out full sites and full network cores, because that's just a heavy upfront cost. But
right.
Trying to work it out so we can get out there and
nice,
really go international.
Nice. So we're gonna get into your actual scanning software and stuff that you guys have developed. We actually interviewed Eric yesterday for Mage Talk. It hasn't come out yet, but we were talking a little bit about the scanner and the patcher and all that kind of stuff. And again, this is funny. I think this is the second time in a row I get hit up on Slack, so I got to close my Slack window. So you guys, actually, it's funny. Just before we started recording, you were talking about when Shoplift came out and all the stuff that all the chaos that caused, and that's when you guys started doing some focusing on some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not when you started focusing on it, but you kind of kicked things up a notch.
Yeah. I mean, really, when Shoplift came out, that's kind of when, Magento really started becoming a security issue, because before that, it was something we just didn't have to worry about. Like Magento, as far as everybody knew, was just secure. And anytime we saw any actual malware exploits or anything like that, it was always due to
Always WordPress.
Yeah, it was WordPress or Joomla. There was some of those. And it was people that just didn't update that stuff because they forgot they had it for the most part. They just thought, oh, we'll have a blog for SEO, but it's one of those things that nobody ever updates.
Right.
So once Shoplift came out, then we started getting all these compromises, and because nobody was prepared for it, nobody was patching. They didn't know the patch existed. Really, if you were outside of that Magento core community, nobody was talking about it. So that's when we really started to try and find these things and get people educated, but there weren't any good ways to scan for it. And it took a real long time to be able to build up a library of rules that were actually reliably catching stuff. And as we were building these things out, we found other people were doing the same thing. And that's when, I think about 6 months ago, we started really collaborating, sharing our rules, and being able to find these things pretty reliably now.
Now, what's the deal with like Sucuri or Sucuri, however the heck you say that, and some of the other scanners that are out there that people like to use?
Those things, Sucuri, they're scanning for basically every kind of install, whereas the stuff we were doing was specifically for the things we were finding in Magento. And we were finding them into Magento and also being able to tailor those rules specifically so we're not going to see a lot of false positives. With things like Sucuri, one, you're paying for the service for the most part. So they do have their front end firewall thing, which it's a good service. We were actually working with them a lot before to try and help out these sites before we really were able to get our rule sets built. And as we found stuff with Sucuri, we went back and we made our own rules to be able to find the same things.
Gotcha. So then you started doing the scanning yourself and started to really catch. And Eric was saying the other day that at one point, like a third of the customers moving to you guys, you were finding were already hacked.
Yeah. We also look for just basically unpatched sites. So we know all the sites on there that are unpatched. Just due to the nature of Magento patches, like we would just be able to love just to go across all these things and just patch them.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the nature of the patches, a lot of times they do cause problems, and you just can't crush somebody's store basically just to get them patched, which is unfortunate. I really wish I wish the patches were rolled out in a bit of a different way. I wish that they would patch the code problems and leave the things like the form keys for different patches. Patch in parts, be able to fix these critical bugs, but every time they have one, it gets rolled in with stuff that we're just adding form keys to, and it breaks everybody's custom themes.
That's a really good point, because those, what are those, cross-site forgery?
Yeah, that's usually cross-site scripting or basically just basically hammering forms basically to flood sites, things like that. But yeah, usually the cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, which aren't, they're bad, but they're not as bad as remote code executions.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Cool, man. Well, yeah. So I'm really pumped to. It's funny. I was looking at some of the code yesterday on GitHub, because I know you guys put a lot of it up there with the Mage Security Council effort, and so I was looking through it. But we can go ahead and do a screen share now, and you can show us the goods, man.
All right.
I think you were saying you just found some. Wait a second.
Yeah, I was prepping just a default install here and found some recent malware and stuck those files into the install. It's not a publicly accessible site, so.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I just did it's just installed into a directory, but we can actually scan and see the files. So can you see my screen now?
Yep. Mage
So,
Security Council.
yep. So yeah, this is what we've been working on, collaborating with particular Willem from ByteNL. He's the one that wrote the scanner that we're making public on here. We had our own as well.
Right.
We're still using that internally, but this is the one we're really going with and pushing for people to be able to use. So we're going to go right into the instructions here. So he has a iteration of this where you can basically run it from pretty much any system. It's Linux or Mac OS.
Right.
And basically, it's just using grep. So pretty much that's de facto install in anything Linux. So it'll find some things. It's basically referencing a grep-friendly file that it'll run, and it'll find quite a bit of stuff, but it can't execute more of the complicated rules. So ultimately, we really would like people to be able to use the scanner that's based off of Yara and Python. Yeah. It just has some more system requirements that it really needs.
Right. But the grep one just literally grabs a text file that has a grep.
Yeah, it's just looking for strings based on regex matches in a directory you point it to.
Right.
So it'll find stuff, but it's not all encompassing here. Right. So yeah, there's all the instructions here on different systems. The one I had was on CentOS. So I already did all the prerequisites here, so I can just go to the point where I'm going to install the scanner.
Cool. By the way, I'm starting to hear some feedback. I don't know if you had some headphones in, you took off or something like that.
Let me just turn down my system here. Maybe that'll help. Okay. Any better?
Testing. Yeah, that's better. Thanks.
Okay. So we're going to get that installed. So yeah, just goes through here. CentOS always barks about outdated Python versions. There's something in CentOS, I think it's the package manager on here, that basically the version of Python that's installed on CentOS is like, I think it's from 2013.
Oh, okay.
And if you update it, it breaks the package manager, so you're kind of stuck with it.
Right, yeah. Always gonna have a few outdated dependencies.
Yeah. And then running it, once this thing is installed, it's just installed in the system as MW scan. And it takes a few arguments. Specifically, we're going to want to use the rule set that we're getting from the MageSec website. Those are combined rules pretty much just between us and ByteNL. I think there's over 300 and something rules for it now.
Okay. Is that I was looking yesterday at the repo. Is the latest and greatest rule set is in GitHub?
No, they're when they're generated, we store the rules in the database, and they're regenerated, and they're just stored as a link on the MageSec website. Always
okay.
In the same place.
Okay, because I think then the GitHub repository, the last updated date was like December or something like that. So I had a feeling that was maybe a little outdated.
Yeah, this scanner actually always downloads the latest rule set for you, so you don't have to actually worry about doing it as long as you set it to the MageSec rule set here.
And then could you pull up the rule set file and just like...
Yeah, we'll view that in a little bit here.
Nice.
So yeah, you just set it to this and it runs the scan. And you can see here that it found the 3 files that I loaded in that are malware.
Nice.
And these are kind of also 3 commonly hacked files that we see. Mm-hmm. Certainly CCPHP for card.
Yeah.
scraping. Also C-card JS. We see that a lot. Then stuff in the includes config. I actually saw a pretty interesting one in there the other day. It was they actually included code in the index PHP file. That code would reinfect config.php, and then config.php would be set to reinfect 3 other files for card scraping.
Okay.
So we ended up
like
finding. We found the card scraping ones, went through, cleaned them up, and then I ran a rescan and was like, what the heck happened? This thing is reinfected.
Yeah.
And I go back in and have to trace down like through these iterations of malware inception. I find these things.
That's brutal. And then
rules for them.
Does this also look at like if there's something in an image or something like that?
By default, for speed purposes, we have it just scanning JS and PHP files and PHTML. There is an option in here to do a deep scan. That's the -D parameter, and that'll scan all of them. They'll scan every file.
Okay.
You have a lot of images. Be prepared for that to take forever.
Right. Yeah, because that was super fast this time around.
Yeah, because it's just a base install, and we also have all of the core Magento files, basically the patched versions of Magento installs. We have those automatically whitelisted, so if it's mashing the SHA-1 hash, it just doesn't bother scanning it.
Oh, cool. That's smart. Yeah, Eric was talking a little bit about your guys' patching process and how you just store the complete completely patched code base as opposed to dealing with individual patches.
We just basically created a default install, and then we patched one and found all the different files and made a patch for it.
Nice.
So then we can apply the patch. It just applies it anywhere, and you don't have to worry about if there's a errant line break or somebody had a piece of debugging code in there just breaking the patch.
Right. And then so you guys run this across your customer base pretty regularly?
Yeah, we do it every day.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of important to do it that often because you can more easily track down how it got infected in the first place. That's really the biggest hurdle we're having now is finding these vectors. And we're actually collecting all this data. We put it into a database whenever we find malware. So we can go through. It's like, all right, these rules are matching all these installs. We know what files it's hitting. So we can go back and we can find. Typically, you can find one vector for that. And all of that kind of malware is a lot of times getting infected through the same vector. So it can make that kind of process easier.
Oh, cool. I think Eric was talking about something you guys were doing where you were you guys added something recently. I can't remember if it was like you're storing all of like the posts, every post and HTTP request, so that if something does happen, you can go back and retroactive, like something about logging a lot of extra stuff that wouldn't normally be logged, so you can go back.
We're not logging the post. Like legally, couldn't do that because paying credit card data and who knows what. We're looking for file changes with audit D. Because even when these files get modified, hackers have been getting cleverer and changing the modified date. So you can't just go back and look at the logs and see, all right, this file was created or modified on this date. I can go to the logs and see at that exact time what was happening. The dates are getting modified on us. Either they're being installed through a tarball, then the tarball is removed, or something along those lines. So the dates don't match anymore, and Audit D is actually recording those files in real time and getting those logged.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we can see that. It really goes beyond what we can do with that just for malware, because we can also see, hey, your page load time's increased, at this date. Here's the files that changed. Here's where the problem probably is.
Oh, nice.
So that's something we're actively working on. It's finally starting to come together. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. make our jobs a lot easier, and hopefully clients' jobs a lot easier too.
Yeah. I can imagine. That's pretty cool. Nice. So this is the scan of the file system, and then what else we're gonna do? Maybe look at some of the, unless there's something else you want to show, some of the options, and we could also maybe take a peek at the rule set.
Pretty much. I mean, some of the options in here in the actual scanner, they're listed out. If you look at the help, one is like the quiet option, so it suppresses everything, like what it's using and all that stuff. So if you're using this in automated script,
right,
or a cron, which
right.
there's instructions on the site for using it in a cron, where basically if it returns anything, then it found something, and you can email it yourself based on that.
Right.
The other stuff in here is like you can tell it what whitelist to use, different rules files if you want to use a different rules file. And then the deep scan it'll scan all of the files instead of just the code-based ones.
Right.
So that can be useful if you found something and you need to do another scan to make sure that like CC information was not getting stored in a JPEG or something weird like that.
Okay. How often do you guys do I know you say you do the daily scans. Do you do the deep scans every once in a while too?
If we find a scan that found something, then we'll run a deep scan.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice.
So I just wanted to bring up one of these malware files here.
How many new attack vectors what's the frequency that you see new attack vectors at?
As far as the vectors, I mean, usually you get a handful at a time, but there's always kind of new ones coming in. And it really depends on the client's software that's installed. Because there could be, you're still seeing WordPress stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the new stuff that we see, it's compromised admin accounts.
Okay.
Stuff getting installed from there. And typically that's what's happening there is somebody might have gotten an account hacked from someplace else. The attacker, the hackers look up the domain name that it's associated with, found out it's a Magento store. They have a default Magento admin login URL, and they try the same password, and it works. So it's one thing. It's probably important to always have your passwords be kind of site specific, as much of a pain as that can be.
Yep, got to do it. Nice.
So looking back at this hackcc.card or this hackccard.js.
Yeah.
From looking at this before, I can tell you this is basically where the file should end. And everything after this was input malware.
Yep.
Kind of tell right from here that it's doing a call out to get this extra JS from.
It's pulling in some jQuery.
Some website. And those will change all the time. Because once these people find out and remove it, they just move on to some other hack site and put their malware scripts up there.
Right.
But then if you look at the code, like this ends up being pretty complex because what they're doing here is they're basically listening for an event in
email from Eric just popped on the screen.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, they're looking for an event in the checkout, and if basically they're submitting credit card information, it's pulling it right out of the form and sending it off.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a credit card skimmer, huh?
Yep. So that's one example of a credit card skimmer. And then here's another one where it's CCPHP. Yeah, it tells you what the rule is here.
Set cran.
So yeah, this is the start of the malware right here.
Oh, okay. So it's just going to set it.
And basically they're just collecting the data right from the source.
Yep. Yep.
And a lot of times you'll see in here that it gets mailed out to just some random email address that they pick up later.
Right. There it is. Brutal. Nice, man. Cool.
And config one.
Overwrite globals hack.
Yeah, this is the kind of garbage you'll see in some of these files, and these are typically backdoors. And it's just like a mound of obfuscated code.
Oh, wow. Puts that into the globals.
Yeah, it puts it into globals. There's usually an eval statement somewhere in here. The base 64 decode is also something that's very indicative.
Yeah.
Malware. You'll see that preg replace functions and eval functions.
Right. Yep. Nice. Staring right at the enemy right here. Staring into the abyss. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not pretty code to look at most of the time.
Yeah, especially without syntax.
Right out just because of the formatting of it'll be so off.
Yeah. Nice.
And then sometimes you can decode them and see what they're actually doing, but it's almost always a backdoor.
Yeah.
And do whatever else they want to do on the system.
Right. Nice. It'd be cool it'd be interesting to see some of those Yara rules. I had taken a peek at them at one point.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring those up now. That's not the link.
Hey, that looks like a Laravel error message.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the rules we break down, we store each individual one in a database in the MageSec site, and then generate this file whenever they get updated.
Oh, okay. So you just have them in like a MySQL database?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
cool.
Typically, just basically the way they work is you're looking for indicative strings in the malware. So this was just an example of a website that somebody was sending something to. And then you can have as many strings as you want.
Magecard.xyz.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Well, yeah, a lot of them we can just basically look for malware because a lot of these hackers are vain, so they like to put their name on stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So you just look for their name.
Okay.
And then you can set up what conditions based on those strings. So some of these are just basically if it matches that string, if that string is found, or any of those strings. You can just usually say, yeah, like any of them.
Oh,
so
okay.
it matches these kind of things.
And then those are just string matches, or those are regular?
Yeah, basically it finds that string anywhere in the file.
Okay. And then does because I'm not too familiar with Yara, but does it have all sorts of fancy stuff to it as other than just like string match type stuff?
It's pretty much just based off of strings, but there's different things you can do with them. You can say, does it match a string within the first few hundred bytes or something like that.
Okay.
For the most part, we try to make them as simple as possible. Because the more complex the rule, the harder it is. Some of the later ones we probably have down in here.
And it's really efficient. Like it's a lot more efficient than a regular grep or something like that.
Yeah, it is. Because one, we can tell it just to scan the code files, so you can get results a lot faster. grep is just going to get everything. It doesn't really care. You could combine it with a find.
Yeah.
We've done it before. We've done it with find rules, and the Python method is quicker to be able to grab those.
Cool.
I mean, if it's just a single user doing that, it's not too bad to have to wait a while, but for us to scan the entire infrastructure, we needed to make it fast as possible.
Right. Yeah, I think Eric was saying it used to be every 3 days or something, and then you got it up to daily.
Yeah, as we refine the scanner down to get it quicker, then we could do it daily.
And was that mostly like using like the non-deep scan, and how did you guys optimize that?
It was doing the code only scan. It was also breaking out the whitelisting component outside of Yara. Because if you actually look at the file, these are just all the rules. There is whitelisting capability built into Yara. The problem with it is it was just horribly slow whenever you try to include a whitelist. So when we built our scanner, and also when Willem built his scanner, we broke that out and put it into a component so it does whitelisting first, then it does the scanning.
Okay, and the whitelisting says here's a whole set of files that you don't need to look at based on the
because we're basing off SHA-1, which now they're saying that it's possible to fake a SHA-1, but that you have to go through a lot of trouble to actually do that. So I think we're safe for the time being.
Yeah, that's going to be the next generation of hacks. That's like SHA-1 matches. They've got
so eventually you have to do the what is it, SHA-256.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see if I can find a rule that's a little bit more complicated here. Like this one here, where you can say, actually, I'm not sure what that code is. But this also says like the file size, if the file size is under a certain size, and it has to match all of these conditions.
Okay.
There's only one condition there, but yeah, you can say all of them, some of them.
The heck is that uint 16?
Yeah, that was probably generated. There is a Yara gen utility that can be used to basically generate Yara rules for you.
Okay.
They end up being pretty complicated like this.
Okay.
And you can also use regex for the rules as well. So there's rules based on that for looking for like actual credit card combinations in code. So there's rules based on that.
It's cool. And are you guys starting to get contribute? I know you're working with Willem at Byte and stuff. You guys starting to get any contributions from other people outside of that?
Not yet. I know Willem had his repo opened and he was getting contributions from people. So we're getting that all moved into the Security Council though. So you just go in and you can submit your rules right on the site.
Cool.
And it gives you the example string format. There's actually I'm going to walk through creating a rule here as well. I couldn't find any new malware today, unfortunately, to create a rule, but I had an idea to create something that basically is a condition that should not exist in CCPHP.
Okay.
So bring that file back up. One of the downfalls for Yara, and I know there's a lot of talk about, hopefully they will include this, is it can't scan for a specific file name yet.
Oh, okay.
But one of the ways around that is you can find something in the file that's going to be specific for that file.
Like a class.
For example, yeah, we're looking for a class. If this class exists,
I think Eric mentioned you were changing some of the reCAPTCHAs to the new invisible reCAPTCHA.
Yeah, I was trying to do that, but haven't gotten it working yet.
I was messing with that the other day too, and I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, I followed a whole bunch of different instructions. Yeah, we're both working with Laravel too.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I set it up, and you set a callback to the button, and every time I clicked it, it was popping up this stupid you know, which one of these images has this green sign in it, and
Yeah.
all those things. I couldn't figure that out. It seems really cool though. I was like, oh man, why didn't I think about that sooner? You know, it's like, because it can look at all your mouse movements and all this stuff that.
Yeah, it does whatever magic it does in the background to figure out if you're a human or not.
Yeah. So this is you're so used to writing these YAR rules, you just write them straight into a text area.
Yeah, well, I got the example right up here too.
Oh, okay, right. There we go. I'm just slow.
All right, so
that's cool.
So this is basically, if we're finding this class in here, I think it's reasonable to say that is in the CCPHP file.
Right. Got it.
You should not be calling a direct mail method.
Should never be doing any mail from in there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you just do that. And submit the rule. And it should say it's verified. So yeah, it just takes you right to your account. Because I'm an admin on here, so it takes me into here. And then what happens with this is it does an immediate verification to make sure that it is a valid Yara format.
Okay.
Then it gets put into a queue where it actually runs this rule against a whole bunch of different Magento default installs.
Ah, cool.
Find a false positive on, it shouldn't be finding one in Magento.
Yeah.
Maybe there can be ones outside in in different modules or themes or something like that. But for the most part, that's a pretty good litmus test.
So if it finds a false positive, then it rejects it.
Yeah, it'll get rejected based on that. And sometimes we end up getting false positives in here just because of there are some extensions out there that have obfuscated code in there, and they're obfuscating their extensions like hackers do, which is frustrating to no end when you're trying to write these rules. So you kind of sometimes have to be cognizant of that you can't just, it'd be nice to be able just to find everything that's using an eval statement, but there's legit extensions out there that use it.
Yeah, legit in air quotes.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, there are.
Yeah, it would, maybe not totally legit.
No, but there are. I mean, there's cases. Yeah, definitely some cases.
Those people are ashamed of their code.
Yeah. Cool, man. This is a really cool demo.
Yep. And then, like I was saying, we get all these, once you get these results and stuff, we can try to identify what vectors from them, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, for the end users, it's also good to run this stuff too. And, have a response plan. What are you going to do if you do find that you have had it hacked? And we have some information on this site too. I won't go too deep into that.
Yeah.
About, the incident response plan.
Nice.
And, security has to be, everybody should be looking at it somewhat, because it doesn't seem like people were looking at it at all.
Yeah.
Developers need to push patches onto the merchants. The merchants need to make sure that they're keeping up with those latest threats as well. And we're really pushing for hosting companies, at least the ones that are hosting Magento, to start running these scans and being able to report back to customers that, there's a problem that you need to address.
Yeah. That's great, man. That's super helpful. Well, cool, man. I love it. Next time we do this, you'll have to show me all the rest of your infrastructure with Audit D and all that stuff. I want to see all that stuff too.
Yeah, that's coming down the pipe pretty soon. I mean, we've been talking about it for probably close to 2 years, but it's just getting to the point now where it's about ready for prime time.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, hey, thanks again, dude. And you guys can check out magesec.org. Check all that stuff out. And I think that's a wrap.
All right. Sounds
Thanks,
good.
man. All right. Appreciate it.
Yep. See you at Imagine.
All right. See ya.